Isn't it time you took a long, hard look at yourself? Well, meditation and yoga are the ancient mirror into the soul. That's right, these are practices that are here to help you truly see what you've got inside, both the good, the bad, and the ugly. Hey, I'm David, and I'm a sniper turned meditator and yogin, and I actually founded an ashram in the Australian outback. On this channel, we love to share inspiring, soulful messages to help you understand what it is to be a soul in this crazy world that wants you to be a body and a mind. Our belief around here is that if you're really, really connected to your soul every day, most of your troubles in life will go away. Oh, and bonus karma points if you hit that like button and subscribe. Upcoming is a live recording from our weekly question and answer session where members of our ashram community ask us questions about life upon the path of meditation and yoga. All right, well, it looks like it's all, it's kind of working. We'll get started. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Para Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. What is this thing, Kailash Ashram? Well, is it David and Rajni's creation? Is it a new age fantasy land? Like, what exactly is an ashram? Well, my sincere belief is that there are forces bigger than the individual that occur in life. These are energies, these are pre-existing patterns of life that happen whether or not you're here or not, such as, a waterfall or the quintessential Zen koan of the sound of one hand clapping, or a tree falling in the forest with no one around to hear it. Well, these realities exist outside of us, and the ashram acknowledges the traditions from which the yogic practices come. And for us to be an ashram and to be in the position to offer ourselves in support of a universal message of connection to the soul means that the personal stuff of what's going on inside of my life, that's with me, don't get me wrong, like that's always going to be with me, and I draw upon that for my own understanding of life. But the other aspect of what we're here to do is to just provide that gentle reminder for those souls that feel called to remember that part of themselves that takes them beyond the other dimensions of life that the world is going to pull you into. What do I mean by that? Well, your boss, maybe they're a really charitable, beautiful, awesome person. Tufan, you would be a great boss, by the way. But a lot of bosses out there would be are concerned about keeping board directors happy, keeping harmony amongst the workforce. They're not there trying to support your journey as a soul. And so as a consequence, they might be operating around, what your work or productive output could be. So they're just trying to use you for your body, for your labor, maybe in some developing nations, most certainly, the best thing that one could extract from somebody is a cheap source of lifting bricks or something like that. Or they might be utilizing you for your intellect to solve problems that they're unable to solve. Well, an ashram isn't here to actually use or co-opt the energy of anybody else. An ashram is here as a mirror or as a reflection so that people can remember what they have inside. And so our highest possible purpose is simply to remind you of your soul, or that deeper spiritual essence. What the soul is the story of our life. It unfolds before us. We discover our soul through the activity of being here on earth. We don't find one little particle in the body and go, I've extracted the soul particle. even though they found the Higgs boson and called it the God particle. We as an ashram are here to live in that remembrance. And it means that, sometimes you come up to a mirror and you see a new blemish or a new scar or a new little bit of unruly growth that needs to be taken care of. And this act of finding those places for you where you get those reflections for yourself that you need is very much the spirit of the yogic practice. Now, it's not, an ashram is a place that is dedicated towards those yogic practices. So as an organization, as a physical place, as a digital medium and platform, we offer ourselves in service of the reflection that you need from that soul. And your meditation practice actually plays this out in a very beautiful way as well. How so? Well, you take yourself to that quiet corner of your bedroom or meditation room if you're lucky, or the yurt if you're really blessed and you've got a dedicated space. And you plonk yourself down and you go, wow, I'm super noble and virtuous person. I'm investing in my own well-being today. I'm going to do this meditation that's supposed to bring me something good. And you sit down and then boom, the shit starts. The stream of thoughts comes. Now, the first 30 seconds is probably the worst for me in any given meditation. It's like, oh, whoa, okay, that's busy. And the temptation in that moment is to get up and run away, and I've been there. I've quit some meditation after about 30 seconds. Sometimes I've lasted 5 minutes. Sometimes I've sat there for a few hours. But certainly the temptation to run away from that reflection is present. But just as if you took yourself to a mirror in the bathroom and looked at the physical structure, if you run away from the mirror, you're still you. And the mirror hasn't changed. You haven't changed, other than you've just taken yourself away from that thing that gives you the reflection. And so we kid ourselves very, very easily. When that reflection of the busyness of mind, I know that one of the things I do when I see a busy mind is I try to make it even more busy. I numb myself out and I distract myself with the scrolling thing, a little bit of entertainment or stimulation just to hide me in the busyness. And this can be perceived very early on in the meditation practice as a shortcoming of the meditation. It's like, damn it, David, why is not the meditation bringing me this sense of joy and supreme bliss? And it's rough because you think like, this thing's broken, or I'm certainly broken. It's not working the way it was advertised. Well, can you blame a mirror for what you see in the reflection? Yeah, okay, like some mirrors fog up when there's steam in the bathroom. Other mirrors might have a crack in the corner. Some mirrors, the silver paint on the backside might be peeling. But the most important thing when you take yourself to that mirror is not the mirror, it's the reflection. And the reflection is what will serve you and carry you, not how pristine or polished the mirror is. And so your meditation practice becomes that mirror to your own mind and to your own soul. The art of living a life of peace is learning to look at the reflection, thank the mirror for being the mirror, don't get hung up on the mirror, look at the reflection and make your peace with what you see. Understand that reflection came about from lawful cause and effect. If the thing in the mirror is a little bit chubbier than it once was before, that's because somebody's been putting something in here. And that's normally you or me. Or, as I found out this afternoon when young Rashan, who's 16 and discovering lifting weights for the first time, is very excited to do some chin-ups. And I jumped onto a chin-up bar and haven't done chin-ups in about 6 years, and boasted one day, some years ago, being able to do 20 or 30 of the things. And I found that after not taking myself to the mirror of the gymnasium that I saw my physical strength was a lot less than it used to be. Now, is that the fault of the chin-up bar? No. Is it the fault of, me? Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't made that a priority. It hasn't been something that I've put emphasis on in my life. And so the ashram can serve as that mirror for you, whether it is through one of our online sharings. They're all, kind of these larger yogic principles mixed with personal anecdote to make it a little bit more digestible. But, our sharings to you from this side of the ashram are here to elicit inside of you a sense of self-reflectiveness that hopefully serves you. And, it's our wish that it serves you. I mean, I enjoy talking, as anyone who knows me, has spent time around me knows I do like talking, so it's great. But to be of service to another is to offer themselves as that reflection. And so a really beautiful part of the meditative journey is, maybe you first stumble across this idea of really cultivating yourself by coming across somebody who's done a bit of yoga or meditation, and you go to an ashram, you come to a retreat, you learn some stuff, you get a reflection and you go, wow, I can change. I don't have to be a prisoner of the chubby guy I see in the mirror. I can drop my sob story and put the cake down and do what I need to do, not emotionally eat or not indulge in a substance. I've indulged in plenty of those, but not indulge in those things that are leading you astray, in order to start really loving what you see in the reflection. Now, me being the go-getter that I can be, I like to dream up what I could be, what I could look like in that reflection. Now, I'm not talking just physically, I'm talking about existentially, spiritually. Oh, I would love to be as compassionate as the Dalai Lama. I am not as compassionate as the Dalai Lama. That's... I look at him and I'm like, man, I've got about 10 million lifetimes of to do until I'm coming back as someone as open-hearted as him. But what Rajni, so I've got a very aspirational relationship with what I see from my meditation. Oh, I see all of these thoughts. I really want the thoughts to be quiet. Oh, Swamiji, meditation master who spent weeks in meditation in the Himalaya after years of deep retreat. Oh, wow, I would love to have that equanimity of mind. And my meditation shows me that I'm anywhere but that, that this thing's still busy upstairs. I compare and I contrast that with how Rajni relates to seeing herself in the mirror. And what I've learned from Rajni and her attitude and mindset, and I hope I can speak on behalf of her as clearly as I can here, is a sense of acceptance of what you see and a sense of love of what you see in the mirror. So I'm in love with my future self, but Rajni is most definitely teaching me to learn to accept that reflection and to not judge it. So to be non-judgmental to the portly fellow or the dad bod that is starting to take shape, or to the dodgy beard or whatever little thing that I don't maybe like, Rajni's advice is always to love that. And she came to a place where she could genuinely love what she saw in the mirror, not by just instantaneous, like, yes, it's all okay, I love it. For many years, Rajni carried a deep hate of herself and her physicality. And so what she did is to make an active gesture of loving what she saw, of choosing that higher virtue and calling that into her heart when she saw herself reflected in that mirror. When the unflattering thoughts arose or the self-judgmental thoughts came up, she would bring in the compassion over the top of that. And it's like the kind of water that pacifies the unruly fire. It might not extinguish it all instantaneously, but it can bring that fire of self-judgment down. And so practically speaking, you've got many different mirrors in your life, in your world. here gathered on a frosty Tuesday evening. We're in the yurt, but you're in Zoom and someone is sharing. And so this can be a mirror in that moment. What is your relationship to self? Your meditation practice is your personal, private mirror. What is your relationship to self? Also, your relationships with others can be that mirror of where you are or where you're not. And that is one of the places where, the typical path is that, you come to the ashram or you come to a spiritual figure of some sort who holds a mirror, and then you get given a practice that becomes the mirror. And then before you know it, all of life becomes that mirror. And this is what it is to be sitting with soul-based consciousness. It's just to see that every moment of your day is an opportunity for you to call into being the highest principle that you can muster. And sometimes it's going to be up here, and you are going to be that person who is just so charitable and generous and awesome and beautiful and heartfelt. And sometimes you're going to be that cranky old bastard who's just miserable to be around and a blight on everybody around you at that moment. The benefit of having the honest reflection of the soul with you is not to judge yourself for being the cranky bastard. It's to see that maybe there was a reason why you were cranky. And for me, it's like, one of the most honest reflections that I get is from the Hatha yoga practice. Those nights that I stay up late eating pizza, guess what my practice is like at 4:30 in the morning? Non-existent. I sleep through till 7 because I got a belly full of pizza that I'm digesting, and it doesn't happen. And then by 11 o'clock in the morning, I'm sitting there writhing at the computer going, wow, my body just doesn't feel like I'm centered in the body today. I'm not fully with it. Now, is that because I'm a bad person all of a sudden? No. It's because I made a decision the night before to eat a pizza. And the yogic practice showed me the consequence of doing that. It doesn't tell me that a pizza is bad. It just shows me the lawful nature or the lawful outcome of my action. And then if I keep pulling the thread on that chain, I see that the reason I was drawn to the pizza is because I worked through the day and I didn't give myself enough rest. And because I wasn't rested in the evening, I was craving emotional comfort. And so the real source of my non-existent Wednesday morning practice was actually my workaholic tendency, not my inability to commit to the yoga. And so this is kind of practically how the process of self-introspection works with the soul on your side. Now, that clarity that you can gain from introspecting can help you see what the real source of your suffering is, not the imagined source of your suffering. For many years, I thought the problem was that I just wasn't committed enough to the yoga. It's easy to do the yoga if I've had a nice light dinner early and I'm digested and I go to bed early and then I wake up naturally early and then I want to do the practice. Back when I was really, a bit worse off than I am now, it was the issue of drinking alcohol in the evenings that just made it impossible for me to practice yoga in the morning. And that wasn't the issue with the yoga, that was the issue with my drinking. Soulful introspection can only occur from a balanced, loving place. If there is self-judgment, what happens is that the intellect gets engaged and you start beating yourself up and you start judging yourself. You start second-guessing your decisions. Doubt creeps in. This is why what Rajni shares and what Rajni has taught me to do, to learn to love myself, to learn to love the sometimes unglamorous, nasty reflection, as well as the beautiful, virtuous one, that higher virtue of love is what leads forward into honest self-investigation and self-inquiry. That is the goal of walking the path as a soul rather than as a body or rather than as a mind. It's not to excuse all of your shortcomings, and it's not to just like kind of disappear off into yoo-hoo spiritual la-la land with a bunch of crystals for this and that. It's real work of bringing yourself into an inner state of living your truth. And when that truth of what you genuinely are and feel inside of you comes alive, there hits a moment where your natural exuberance is for the cup, or it's the cup spilling over. And when you've got a message that is really, when you believe a message that is coming through so strongly, you will not be able to resist it coming forward. It just will bubble out. It has to. There's nowhere for it to be contained. It kind of oozes forth. And this is like a well, like a crystal clear well in the ground that just springs forth pure water. And you go to, Bali, and there's beautiful temples constructed around these places where water is springing up from the ground. It's venerated as a sacred site. Well, we are capable of that as human beings as well. And when we allow that inner joy or that inner truth, it might be difficult truth, to come forward, what we actually then start becoming is a mirror to other people as well. And then others are able to see their reflection in our proximity. Our truth essentially is that clear, pristine mirror that we offer others. And this is what the path of service entails. This is how it kind of works in the yogic tradition. You don't just go and train and learn a bunch of asana or poses and physical stuff and suddenly become a yoga teacher that can teach other people spiritually enlightened things. It's more like you need to meet somebody who offers you a reflection. They hold the mirror. Hopefully they're a good mirror. Even if they're a dodgy kind of half-broken one, if you get a good angle, you'll be able to see yourself. You see yourself. You work your stuff out. And then you're of service to others. And this is a process without end date or finish line. It is a continual process. And to offer oneself in service of something higher is to really let go of your own desire to be of service, and then suddenly, you just are the service. There's no individual wanting to be the figure that helps other people. It arises spontaneously and naturally. Similarly, a balanced state of mind and the inner equanimity inside of a meditation is not arrived at by mechanical imposition. It arises naturally. And to some extent, this ashram has arisen naturally. It wasn't a mentally imposed thing that was cooked up in a planning session. Rajni and I have had to feel a lot of different things in this process to understand what it is that is trying to come forward. And one of the really interesting, beautiful things that has come forward in the last couple of weeks is now that we are balancing the operations of the ashram, and we're able to kind of have some sort of longer term sustainability and viability as an endeavor, we're now only able to really return to our heart and our truth as an ashram, which is to offer very accessible offerings for people to join us back out here in person, to use the space and to connect and to support and serve the soul and something beyond themselves. So, I'm I'm not here preaching in the sense that, like, you know, I'm exempt from this process. My endeavor this evening is to try to articulate what it's like living with the little angel of your soul on your shoulder guiding you. And he kind of roasted me a little bit lately, but as I've allowed that direction it wants me to go to come through a little bit stronger, it's accompanied with a sense like a balm or a soothing feeling comes over me, that I know that even if it doesn't make sense intellectually, and I don't know how we're going to pull off more daily style operations out here with the little skeleton crew we've got, it's making my soul sing. And so that inner feeling, you sensitize yourself to that inner feeling when you meditate. Even if it's a horrible meditation, you are still attuning yourself to that particular vibration. And so, you know, this is essentially Swamiji's message that if you practice this meditation, your soul will become your guru. And that's been my experience. He's coming alive, and he's wise and about 10 steps in front of me, like a grand chess master. And the egoic part of myself has a duty and a moral obligation to catch up with that soul which knows the answers all along. And so I invite you this next week to feel into the directions that your soul is pulling you, to look into those mirrors. And if you notice yourself judging unfairly or hating upon what you see in any reflection, be it an ashram, be it your meditation, or be it a physical mirror in the bathroom, consciously choose to offer that thing that you see a little bit of love and see how that makes you feel. If it works, keep at it. If it doesn't work for you, no harm, no foul, okay? So look, I as per our Tuesday meditations, we'll jump into a meditation now and sit in that spirit of witnessing what must arise. And I deeply and honestly deeply appreciate your attention and the patronage and the connection to the ashram, whether it's reading an email, whether it's looking at an Instagram post, or joining us on a Tuesday session. It fills my heart, and I certainly know Rajni's, with a lot of love and joy to see your beautiful faces again, but to also know in our hearts that you remind us of that eternal truth, and we hope to remind you of those truths that you may needed to have heard this week. So, I say Jayat Meshwar, and thank you for tuning in. We're going to have a silent goodbye, as we always do. So if you'd like to get yourself seated for meditation, if you'd like to learn about the specific meditation practice that we share, or to join me on one of the life-changing retreats that we run here out at the ashram, check the description below. There's a couple of links to get you started. I trust that tonight's sharing brought you exactly what you needed, hopefully a little bit of a pep talk to get you connected to your soul. If this video has been of use, it's of great assistance to us if you hit that like button. Also, if you want to hear more of what I've got to say, make sure you subscribe. You'll get notified. Say to you, Jayat Meshwar, which means victory to your soul as divine. And good night.